Hey everyone, what's going on? Today we're diving deeper into Thiel's political beliefs and looking at a charity called DonorsTrust and how they had a very active 2021, which was a year Thiel was making a lot of other large political moves. I really hope you guys are enjoying this series, and if you are, I hope you leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Which leads me to the last point, that Thiel has often been described as a libertarian authoritarian, which in and of itself is oxymoronic. Like, jumping back, authoritarian, libertarian, these are on opposite ends of the spectrum. You can't be both. But it's something that he kind of hints at and describes. And so this was a quote from him describing himself and why he proclaims to be a libertarian. I'm not going to read it out loud because I hate when people read slides. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. Y'all can read yourselves if you're interested. If not, I'll just skip to the next slide because it's not that interesting. But the main point of this is he's calling Reagan's idea of consumer capitalism oxymoronic because you don't save money as a capitalist, and Obama's idea of low tax socialism as oxymoronic because you don't cut taxes as a socialist, which I think are both fair takes, but I also feel like this is a case of the pot calling the kettle black. So then this is a quote from Thiel in 2023, where he says he has no wish to change the American form of government, or doesn't think it's realistic to be radically changed. He thinks it looks more like Xi in China or Putin in Russia. And so stepping back from this sort of analytic approach and portraying a personal opinion for a second, I take this to mean he doesn't think that the system can be changed from the outside. The American system has too much inertia for anyone to come in and fundamentally reshape the U.S. political structure. That doesn't mean if you rise to power or can gain power in legitimate or perceived to be legitimate ways, you cannot hold on to power indefinitely, and you cannot keep power, especially if you're not in literally, the presidency. You can have that power over Congress or over whatever position for a long period of time, especially if you're not actually the one leading the charge. But back to the other stuff, the investigative stuff. Sorry, not the other stuff, the important stuff. So Vance and Thiel. Vance, again, like I hinted at earlier, started at Mithril Capital in 2016. Then, in 2021, Thiel donates $15 million to the Ohio Super PAC. Just like, in case you didn't believe me, Open Secrets shows any political donations. Very, very useful website. This is Thiel's. Let's jump to the bottom one, please. Thank you. 2021, there's 10 million of it. There's 3.5 and the other 1.5. All from Thiel Capital. Yay. We love billionaires giving $15 million plus to, well, now millionaires to run the government. But the crazy thing in all of this wasn't the only thing he was doing at that time. He also funded Rockbridge think tank, which was run by Vance, funded by Thiel. And their proposed mission was to bring investors who are dissatisfied with the status quo of politics. And I can't read this slide. I give up. But the whole point of this, in my opinion, this reads very much like the intro to Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation sort of mandates and transition periods. This reads as ground zero for all of those writings, and it kind of tracks with the timeline of all of it. But speaking of the Heritage Foundation, we are going to look at DonorTrust, who the Thiel Fund gave $4.2 million to in 2021, which sounds like not that much money, but also like a ton of money. Like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. What's going on here? But there's a lot more in this story. So, first looking at DonorsTrust. DonorsTrust is a advisor-backed charity fund to basically, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. It's basically you give them you open an account with them, give them a bunch of money, and then tell them who to donate it to or how to manage it, and they'll do as you say. But it's a charity, like on paper, or a nonprofit on paper. So if you donate to it, you can write all of your taxes off, and basically it funnels money from you to wherever you want it to go. So if I wanted 5% of my money to go to Salvation Army, 5% to some other company, you could give it to DonorsTrust, and they would do it for you for a fee, which in and of itself feels strange that would be the needed route, that like you would need somebody to manage your money in this way. But we also can look at the companies they have listed on their website that they're giving money to, and the two super notable ones were Heritage Foundation and Turning Point USA. But because this is a 501c3 corporation, they have very specific reporting requirements. And so in 2021, when they got the Thiel Foundation gave them $4.2 million. That is this year. Like, something happened here. And so when I read this headline, I was like, I went and looked it up to like confirm that the number was correct. And I saw this headline, and I was very confused, because I was like, what? How did a company receive more than $1 billion? And it's just like, okay, cool. We're not going to say anything. Like, I don't know. This just triggered like I feel like there's a string here, and I want to pull on it a little bit. Anyways, looking at their income for 2021, it was made up almost entirely of 3 gifts. One for $427 million, second for $77, and a third for $126 that was as stock. So I thought this was super interesting, because they didn't know, like, they very specifically noted these 3 donations, no other ones. And I just thought it was interesting that they got $4.2 million from the Thiel Foundation, and that didn't make the cut. And I was also wondering if, could it be part of one of, like, how likely is it that one of these donations is also, like, that 4.6 is included in one of those numbers? Or really any of these 3 numbers that could be included in pretty easily. But then I was, again, pulling on the string, just seeing where it was going to go. This third donation that was a stock, I was like, okay, that's kind of insane. Who is donating hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stock? Especially if, in theory, donating it would mean you were writing it off the capital gains you would pay from it. Because that would mean you have, in theory, a significant amount more than $426 million of value in this stock that you're trying to get, like, the capital gains offset for. Right? Because you need to have the revenue to offset it. Otherwise, you wouldn't donate this much. You could donate less and keep more for yourself. But that brings us to our company. Again, big disclaimer. I don't know if this is the company, but I was pulling on this string, and this is sort of what I found. I'll just say that. So if miraculously the Founders Fund, who had led the Airbnb Series C and invested in Airbnb when it was still a private company, wanted to sell out in the end of November when the stock price was over $200 a share, they could, donate a large chunk of that and not have to pay capital gains on any of the other stock they had before, from that period before. And just to be clear that I'm not talking out of my ass, I put all of these together. So this is 2022. If we look closely though, well, first we're going to jump back. Look at the net assets in 21, 1.5 billion. If we look at the net assets in 23 or in 22, it's 1.3 billion, and the net income is 74. So if we subtract that out, we're down about 200 million. Which, if you got a stock that was worth $200 a share when you got it, and was now worth around 100, you would be down about $200 million, despite having a positive operating income of $74 million. And so that's sort of my question and pitch of why I believe it's Thiel that gave this inordinate sum of money to a basically black box to invest as he pleased without his name being written on it. Because now that it's in DonorsTrust hands, it can all go to the Heritage Foundation. It can all go to Turning Point. It can all go to Rockbridge. It can all go to these think tanks to fund whatever papers, whatever he needs the message to be to further his own political goals. And